This is Fat to Fierce. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. I'm your host, Amy English. Join me on this empowering adventure towards a healthier relationship with food, body, and self, one delicious bite at a time. Hi there. Welcome to the Confidence Chronicles. This is episode number 41, and I'm your host, Amy English. I hope you are having a great week so far. So before I dive in, there's just a couple of reminders. Number one, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this podcast a follow. This way, then you'll get notified every time a new episode is available. And if you have gotten any insight from this podcast, anything helpful, any gold nuggets of information that have helped you or supported you on your journey, I invite you to leave a review for the podcast. My goal is to help get this out to anybody and everybody who could use some support when it comes to overcoming emotional eating, like stress eating, and create a better body image. Because that's what we're talking about in the Fat to Fierce world, right? Getting out of that toxic diet mentality and really learning how to take back our power when it comes to food and creating a healthy body image, right? Feeling better about ourselves. Taking a peaceful bite of food, or if you're someone who is working on weight loss, you're working on removing extra weight, doing it from a place of empowerment and a place of love, as opposed to a place of feeling just down and frustrated and all that stuff, right? Because when we can focus on our goals from a place of empowerment, a place of confidence, even a place of clarity and compassion, and even curiosity, right? Getting curious about the habits that keep getting in our way. Curiosity is a really powerful energy to be in, because especially curiosity with compassion, because when you're curious about yourself and your habits and you're doing it through that lens of compassion, you can really start to identify the roadblocks that keep getting in your way, and you can also solve for them. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, that's my long-winded way of saying, it would be helpful to have more followers and more reviews on this podcast so that it can get out to more people who are looking for the type of solution that this podcast and, quite frankly, the work I do offers. So I would be extremely grateful for you, and if you would be willing to do that. Also, I wanted to share that, as I mentioned last week, I've reopened the Fat to Fierce Facebook group. So if you're on Facebook and you enjoy Facebook groups and you want to come hang out, go ahead and find us there and request to join. There will be 3 questions for you to answer when you submit your request to join, and then you'll be in and you can come hang out. It's fun. I sprinkle in lots of different things from all the different places. So there's videos from TikTok, there's clips from this podcast, there's just regular posts that I share. I like it to be inspirational and just continue to offer, the goodness and the wisdom that is Fat to Fierce, right? All the things that have helped me along my way to overcome emotional eating, feel more comfortable in my skin, feel better about my body, and take back my power from food. I just like to share all the things that come up with anybody who wants it, really, basically. So yeah, so if you want to go ahead and join us there, I would be honored to have you. And I do want to share something because it pertains to this podcast. So in the Fat to Fierce Facebook group, I shared a clip from episode 40, and someone commented, and I wanted to read you what she wrote. She said, "I'm following you on Spotify. I'm on episode number 13. These podcasts are wonderful and insightful. It's like you are talking right to me. Thanks." If you've been listening to any of these episodes over these last 40 weeks, you know that has been my one of my number one goals for this experience is for it to feel like we're having a conversation. Like we are right in the living room or we are right at the coffee shop having this talk. And so that really just made me feel so excited that she shared that. So without further ado, what the heck are we going to talk about today? Also, I want to just share that I am just getting over being sick for the last several days. Today's my first day back to myself. So I'm not quite sure how long we're going to go today. I'm going to keep this as soon as I start noticing my energy depleting. We're going to wrap it up. So this might be a quick one, or I might go on a rant. One never knows. But I think I don't really have a specific focus today, but I thought what might be fun to talk about is Halloween, because I'm recording this on Tuesday, October 29th. This episode will be available on Thursday, October 31st, which is Halloween. And if you're anything like me, well, how I used to be, Halloween was a real struggle. Halloween was a time of year that I would really dread. Not as a kid. Are you kidding? As a kid, I loved it. But as an adult, as someone who was uber focused on her weight, as someone who really struggled with stress eating, and as someone who felt like she had no control around sweets, you can imagine that Halloween could be really difficult. And in fact, when my kids were little and they would go trick-or-treating and they would come home with these bags and buckets full of candy, because we've always lived in like these large neighborhoods that gave away tons and tons of candy. And they would come home with all their candy, and I would find myself sitting in a sea of candy wrappers, before the night was over, always feeling sick and then mad at myself for not being able to control myself, right? And that would often kick off the entire holiday season, because at that point, I would think to myself, well, might as well just start in the new year. We'll start in January with the New Year's resolution, right? And that's just a pretty awful cycle to be in, quite frankly. Just feeling like you have no control and you're going to spiral. So you might as well stay down for the count for the next 3 months, 2 months, however long it is. And what I can say about that is it feels really damn good to be out of that cycle, because I recognize that Halloween is one day. And yeah, the candy might be here for a little while, but it no longer calls my name. It's no longer like burning a hole in my brain. If I want a few pieces, I'll have a few pieces. I don't lose control like I used to before. That said, I still absolutely enjoy chocolate. It's one of my favorites. I could care less about the other sugary treats that they get, like the Skittles and the Nerds and Smarties and things like that. No, that's not my cup of tea. Milky Way, Three Musketeers, hello. I like those. Even a plain Hershey bar, I enjoy. So anyway, I thought let's talk about this, because I know for a lot of people it can be a struggle. And let's also face the fact that if you're in the US, even if you're not, next week is election day. And I know that there's a lot of stress. I'm feeling it, okay? I don't know many people who aren't feeling it, who aren't feeling a little bit stressful about what's going on in the country, right? So that, guess what? When you're struggling with stress eating, and then there's this plethora of candy around, and you're feeling really stressed because of what's going on in the environment, it's like a perfect recipe for what I used to call that cyclone with food, right? Perfect recipe for stress eating, which can ultimately lead to binge eating. So what I want to say about that is if you find yourself in this boat or in this bucket, so to speak, you're not alone. All right. And hopefully what I can share with you today will prove to be helpful. So without further ado, here's where I want to go with this today. So recently in a coaching session, I was working with a client, and we were talking about chocolate. And as I just mentioned, chocolate is something that I really enjoy too. And I had asked the question, how do you feel when you eat the chocolate? Like, what is the feeling that you get when you eat the chocolate? And I'm asking this to you as well. Okay. And I've asked myself this question too. All right. So the idea here is to focus on the feeling that you get when you're eating the chocolate. Now, there's the feelings that happen before. And if chocolate isn't your thing, because I know not everybody likes sweets, just imagine whatever food is your kind of go-to. All right. I'm focusing on sweets and chocolate because it's Halloween, maybe another kind of candy is your go-to, or maybe you're a chips kind of person, right? Salty, crunchy, that type of thing. Just picture whatever food is your go-to, that one that it's like once you start eating it, you can't stop. And then you just keep thinking about it until you eat more of it, right? Or you just beat yourself down until you're just so frustrated that you end up saying F it, okay? Because that's a whole thing too, all right? We could probably do an entire episode on F it, right? Okay, here's the thing. So when you are having the urge to eat whatever food you want to eat, okay? That's one thing. And we can explore that urge all day long. It can be really helpful to kind of like, when you notice the urge coming, write down what you're thinking, what you're feeling. We've talked about this, right? This is practicing the pause. So in the pause, you're like, okay, am I hungry? Yes or no? What am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Will this food help in the moment? Will this food give me what I'm looking for? What do I want more, right? Those are all the questions that we ask when we're having the urge. Or we can also ask those when we're in the midst of eating, right? But here's the thing that I really want to focus on today is when you eat that favorite food, when you're done eating it, the moment you're finished, what is that feeling? For my client, that feeling was satisfaction. She felt satisfied after eating the chocolate. Okay. And so here's where I'm going with this. All right. I asked her to close her eyes for just a second. And if you want to do that, you can, just not while you're driving, please, or operating any kind of machinery. All right. Let's be safe. But if you're able to and you want to, just close your eyes for a second and think about the feeling that you get once you've eaten whatever your favorite food is, okay? Whether it's chocolate, chips, pizza, burger, whatever. What's that feeling? For her, it was satisfaction. And I can relate to that too. That feeling of satisfied. For me, it can be like calm, right? Food like calms me back in the day, right? Or it can feel like grounded. I think satisfied is probably a really common one. Joy, maybe it's relief, comfort, whatever it is for you, whatever that feeling is, just picture it right now. Picture it, picture that feeling. See if you can call it up for yourself, okay? In this moment without eating that food, okay? There's a point to this. Stay with me. See if you can feel that feeling. See if you can pull it up. See if you can recognize it. See if you can really sink in to whatever feeling you get when you've eaten that food. Okay. Just notice it. Notice any sensations you feel in your physical body. Notice anything in your mind. Notice if you see a color or if you notice a texture or anything at all. If there are words that pop up for you, if there's a sensation, if there's a temperature associated with it. Listen, there's no wrong answer here, okay? Just notice whatever you feel when you've eaten that favorite food that you tend to like lose control around, okay? And we want to park the judgment. We want to park the frustration. We want to park the overwhelm for just a minute. And I really just want you to sit with whatever you feel when you eat that food. And when you've got it, I just want you to notice what that feeling is. For a lot of people, it's going to be a positive feeling. That's the reason we eat emotionally, right? That's the reason we stress eat. That's the reason we eat when we're feeling bored. The food is bringing a positive emotion instead of a negative one, right? That's the whole definition of emotional eating. And so once you have that positive feeling that you tend to experience when you're eating, when you're stress eating, when you're eating that food, just feel that feeling. And what I want to invite you to consider on this episode, and this is what's super powerful, friends, is that you have just called in that feeling. You have just brought up that feeling for yourself without the food. You've done it right now with me on this podcast. If you can feel that, you know you are able to bring this up for yourself without the food. Isn't that amazing? And so here's the thing. The more we practice this, the easier it gets. And the more we start to realize we don't need food to create that feeling. We can do it ourselves. And that's the takeaway. That's the powerful thing, for lack of a better word, that we want to be able to realize. Now, does this mean that poof, you're done? You're never going to eat emotionally again? No, probably not. As much as I wish I could wave a magic wand for everybody and just, let this habit go away and be gone forever, I just can't, right? None of us can. We've got to be willing to work on it. We've got to be willing to understand why we eat emotionally. See, here's the thing. When you're willing to start doing this work and explore your current relationship with food and understand why you turn to food when you're feeling whatever emotion, stress, bored, mad, sad, frustrated, overwhelmed, whatever, once you're able to look at that with curiosity and compassion, that's you taking your power back. Okay. See, and I kind of went on to this topic last week when I was talking about the weight loss world, right? Because weight loss, the toxic parts of the entire weight loss industry has us all thinking that we need that external solution to lose weight, right? We need to follow this plan or take this medication or get this surgery or whatever we need to do, right? And yeah, all that stuff helps with weight loss. But the whole dilemma is that none of those options help us understand our relationship with food. They don't help us solve our relationship with food. They don't help us fix our relationship with food. That's on us. That's not on the external solutions for weight loss. And that's the big difference between these two things, okay? That's the big difference between healing your relationship with food, taking your power back from food, and healing your relationship with your body, and focusing on weight loss. Okay. I will never knock anybody who wants to lose weight. I think every person needs to make a decision for themselves as to what they want to do and what they want to work on, what they want to change about themselves, whatever. That's up to each individual to do. But whatever you're going to decide to do, doing it from a place of empowerment, a place of compassion and curiosity, and ultimately from a place of love. And so when you're able to take a look at your relationship with food, get curious with yourself, with compassion, and start understanding the reasons why food has this energy of its own, so it seems, like why it feels like the Halloween candy is going to be calling your name, and why you need your husband to lock it up and hide it from you so that you don't lose complete control. Yeah, been there, done that. Okay. When you're willing to explore that without the judgment and shame, that's key here, right? That is part of you taking your power back. Okay. And then once you are able to do that, if you're watching this, I've got like this ray of sunlight coming at me right now and I'm trying to avoid it. Like I must look like a cat on camera right now with playing with this ray of sunlight. Anyway, okay, I'm leaving this in here. Whatever, I don't care. My whole point in this, everybody, friends, is that once you are able to explore this and understand your relationship with food, this is what helps you take your power back. And if you are somebody who wants to have a peaceful bite of food, feel better in your skin, or ultimately, if you want to remove weight, understanding your eating habits and being able to change them to ones that work in your favor is going to make the adventure, because let's face it, it is an adventure. It's going to make it a heck of a lot easier. Not easy, but it's going to make it easier, because nothing about any of this is easy. And if we are friends on Facebook, or if you follow me along on TikTok, there was a TikTok I did recently about how no matter what way you go about this, no matter what way you go about losing weight, maintaining weight, healing your relationship with food, just feeling more comfortable in your skin, like, I don't think any of it's easy, quite honestly. What I've discovered on my own, and just witnessing others and myself, is that no matter what way you go about this, whether you're someone who's going to take medication, have surgery, do it, by healing your relationship with food, or following someone's plan somewhere, no matter what you do, it's going to have its challenges. Maintaining weight has its own separate set of challenges. So I think that there is, I don't know, for me anyway, there's a lot of relief in recognizing that, yeah, it's hard. No matter what way you go about this, it's going to be hard. And for me, that turning point in 2013 was realizing that, yes, trying to figure out how to stop stress eating and how to change my eating habits and my relationship with food is probably going to be really hard. But you know what? So is staying stuck in this cycle and feeling like I have no control, and continuously looking for the next magic solution because I felt like I couldn't do it on my own. That was hard too. So I had to decide, which type of hard did I want? Did I want the hard where I was still at the mercy of food and external solutions? Or did I want the hard that put me in the driver's seat and allowed me to find the resources and the support and the whatever that was most aligned with me, and who and what and where I wanted to be? And that was the hard that I chose. And that was the path that I picked and that I've been on for the last 9 years. I mean, I kind of consider it when I started life coach training, even though I didn't really know that that's what I was what I was doing, really, in 2013, actually. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, even though I was going to go through treatment first before I decided to jump on this and go about it this way. So yeah, the last decade, right, is the path that I chose to take my power back from food, and really take my power back from the entire weight loss yo-yo roller coaster, whatever you want to call it. Get off that ride, because that's exhausting. And again, I'll never sit here and tell you it's been easy. It's still not. I'm still working on removing these last 20 pounds that can sometimes make me feel really frustrated, if I'm being honest, okay? So I'll never sit here and tell anybody that it's been easy breezy piece of cake. No. There have been a lot more obstacles than I ever anticipated. But what I can tell you is that I would do this. I would choose this path. I would choose this hard a million times over, because it is what's brought me closer to myself. And that makes me really emotional, like in a good way, because it has. It's brought me to me, the me that I lost long ago, but found her. through this entire process. That's taking your power back, friends. All right. Without further ado, I can feel that my voice is starting to fail me. So I am going to say thanks for being here. Thanks for listening and or watching. I hope you have a great week. And if you're fearing that Halloween candy, here's the thing. You also don't have to white knuckle this, okay? If you're feeling like, oh, I got to power through this and try to be good and not have no, do whatever is helpful for you in this moment. If that means getting rid of the candy, then get rid of the candy. If that means taking it to a local dentist who does the buyback program, we do that every year, by the way. Do the buyback program because listen, with the amount of candy my kids bring home, nobody needs to be eating that much candy. I don't care what your goals are. All right. It's just that much is not good for anybody. Anyway, do a buyback program or, give it to someone who likes it or throw it out because listen, I know there's a lot of people who feel very badly about having to throw food away. And as I also told the same client in a recent session, if you're not willing to throw the food in the garbage, why are you willing to throw it in your body? I'll leave you with that question. All right. I hope you have a great week. See you soon. Are you ready to take control of your eating, embrace your body, and boost your confidence? Then let's get fierce. Start your Fat to Fierce journey today. Go to amyenglishcc.com for more resources and to book your discovery call.